This is lesson 1 of the IKFF Kettlebell lesson series. Today's lesson is going to be dealing with some techniques with the kettlebell snatch. Specifically, what the lesson is going to be involving is the insertion, which is putting the hand into the kettlebell, and also the catching with the fingers. The purpose of these lessons, this is the first lesson, but it doesn't mean it's the most important lesson or the only lesson or necessarily the first lesson in your training. I'm doing these lessons as the questions come. So on a daily basis I get emails and questions from kettlebell lovers and enthusiasts that want to have some technical corrections. So this particular IKFF lesson series, which is going to be ongoing, is basically going to be addressing questions as they come. So if you have any specific questions or comments for me, you can email me, and the email will be provided at the end of this video. So again, today's lesson is specifically dealing with some of the technical challenges of the snatch. Inserting. What inserting means is we want to get the hand into the handle. And a common mistake or a common problem people have is they don't get their hand deep enough. The kettlebell's too high, or it's low but not low enough. So what you really want is the kettlebell to insert all the way down so that you have two contact points, one at the wrist and one at the thumb. And there's no gap between the wrist and the handle here. And the kettlebell sits down low. So a lot of times what happens is when someone snatches, they don't get the hand deep enough. Okay, it gets stuck here instead of inserting. So that's one of the points of today's lesson. The other point is to avoid tearing and to avoid pre-fatiguing the grip early on. So we want to learn to catch with the fingers and catch with the base of the palm. Okay, and then the third component that has to do with grip conservation is not excessively flipping the kettlebell. So you don't want to flip the kettlebell over the hand for two reasons. One, by flipping, it puts a lot of torsion on the grip, so it's going to fatigue you very quickly. And the second point is it increases the range of motion that the bell is traveling, thereby making each repetition move farther than it needs to, which means you're not going to be able to last as long. So that's basically the three purposes of this lesson. Okay. First of all, it's a good idea to use chalk, and there's a video that you can buy for 20 bucks that teaches you how to use chalk, but I don't think that's really necessary. I think if you just get some chalk and rub it in very well into your hands, you can probably figure out how to use chalk on your own. Okay. Another good point is it's important to wear some wrist wraps. For beginners, it's good while you're refining your technique. It'll help to cushion the impact and maybe prevent some bruising. But even advanced kettlebell athletes will use wraps because as you start working and sweating, the sweat on your wrist will cause the bell to shift out of position, and that'll interfere with your technical precision. So you want to get some wraps so that as you sweat, the kettlebell stays in place. Okay? So we're going to do a couple different drills, basically 3 different drills progressing. Now, I don't profess to have the best technique in the world. I don't profess to have all the answers, and I don't believe that there's one true way. What I'm sharing is simply my experience from teaching and traveling all around the world and questions that I get, as well as different things that I've learned from various kettlebell experts over the years and that I've tried and practiced on my own and have good results. So if there's anything that you think you know better or you want to give some advice, you're always welcome to email your suggestions, and if we think your lesson is very good, we will be happy to publish you and give you some credit for that. Okay, so absorb what is useful and discard what is not useful for you. So today's lesson starting. The first point is when we're gripping the kettlebell, we're going to grip with the fingers rather than over gripping and crushing with the palm of the hand. Okay? And then what we want to do is we're going to secure the kettlebell. There's several positions, but the most common position, we grip so the middle finger's in the middle of the handle. Now your thumb can hook over the index finger, or it can hook over the middle finger, and also you can place your thumb here. We don't say that one technique is better and one is right and one is wrong. They're all acceptable, and you have to try and see what ultimately works best for your particular physiology, your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so hook with the fingers, so the middle finger is at the center of the bell. Hook your thumb over here, middle finger, or on top. So as we're snatching the bell, as it's moving up, we want the hand from the finger position to actually release and move all the way into the palm, inserting into the handle. And then as we drop the kettlebell for the backswing, we want to skip over the center of the hand and jump back and catch with the fingers. So that's going to be one of the points of the lesson. And an important point here is if you watch someone that is proficient with the snatch, you're not going to see the bell flipping over. Okay? So there's basically two ways you can transition the bell. You can keep your hand passive and the bell is active, moving over, which is not what we want. Or we can keep the bell more stable and the hand is more active, moving in. That's what we want. So the difference is, instead of keeping the hand still and the bell moving around, we try to keep the bell in a static position and the hand moves inside. So that's the first part of the lesson. What we want is that as you're snatching the bell, we never want the bottom of the bell to come higher than the handle, because in a well-designed kettlebell, most of the load, it's going to be through the center and primarily toward the bottom portion of the bell. So as I come here, if I have the bottom of the bell higher than the handle, it has to flip and it's going to impact. Instead, if I have the bell in this position, it's floating and I can move my hand. So that's what I want. So the first drill you're going to do is throw and catch. Throw and catch with one hand, releasing with the fingers, catching with the fingers, and making sure as you throw that the handle doesn't come up. Okay? So it looks like this. And just pay attention to the release. And make sure the bottom of the kettlebell is not coming up higher than the handle. The other portion of this drill is that your ballistic lifts, your fast lifts, such as the snatch, are actually throws. So you're throwing and catching the bell in your ballistic lifts. So that first drill is going to teach you how to release and catch, how to catch with the fingers, and also how to control the flight of the bell so that the bottom doesn't flip.